So Peter, welcome to the Business Builder System. Looking forward to sharing with you your amazing JournoLink system. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background and what's led you to developing this particular service?
Yes, so here am I as a banker turned entrepreneur, which is quite a rare sight nowadays. But, you know, I've got a history in banking, Rich. So spent about 35 years in banking. The last, I suppose, 10, 15 years was very much in the SME space, small business space. And I was head of small business for one of the major high street banks before it all went wrong. So it wasn't my fault. But I found myself, when it did go wrong, being asked to go back and front the media for them. So my head's very much split into understanding how small businesses work. Bit from the banking side, so a bit from the wrong side of the desk, but then also understanding how the media works. So I spent quite a lot of time, spent about 3 or 4 years, catching the grenades, putting the pins back in and throwing them back at John Humphrey and things like that. So I absolutely get, what a journalist looks for and how a journalist thinks. And then we set JournoLink up very much around how do you match the small business side with the media side. Why was that important? Why was that important to me? I was hearing a lot of messages from smaller businesses saying, we don't do anything with the media. We can't get into the media. We don't know how to do it. We don't know when to do it. And anyway, it's looked really expensive. And really the media is just for people like Rolls-Royce and Unilever and Amazon and people like that. So the challenge that I set myself was, how do we create an affordable online platform that enables startups and the 5 million, 6 million SMEs we've got in the country? How do we help those businesses engage with the media? And how do we help the media engage with those businesses as well? And how do you make that easy for everybody concerned? So the bit that I was a bit short of before in terms of understanding businesses from the wrong side of the table, for the last 6 years, I fundamentally understand what it's like to run a business from this side of the table now. So got all those components. And JournoLink really is that machine that helps you as a small business engage with the media, do your PR in the same way that your big competitors do PR, and actually make you look like a big business rather than the small business, family business that we are.
Oh, that's interesting, because I mean, in the 12, 13 years I've been building businesses, working with owner managers, very rarely have they said to me, Rich, we're doing PR. Even more rarely have they said, we're interested in doing PR. It's almost like the branding and PR bit is something that's not front of mind for them, or perhaps don't even feel as though it's relevant to a small business. So what do you see as some of the challenges that business owners have? I mean, now you're a business owner yourself, of course, and seeing it from both angles. What do you see as some of the challenges or the problems that business owners have when it comes to branding, when it comes to, well, I suppose in a sense, maybe even taking it back a little bit, what is public relations? And what benefit does public relations give to a small business?
So, I mean, let me take it back to when we started JournoLink. So the journey we went through was very much like the journey a lot of businesses go through, which is you get the idea, you sort of nervously bounce the idea around with people. And, interestingly, when you start a business, one of the bits of stats I remember from my banking days was when you start a business, most people will go to the pub and ask the people, their mates in the pub, what they think of the business, rather than going to a business advisor and asking them, or asking an accountant, lawyer. You get that germ of an idea. So you get the germ of the idea. Once you've got that, then you sort of go around, right, I need to set my website up. I need to set my pricing points up. I need to get the model working. I need to build it. Right. And then you get to this stage of almost surprise that you've not got 5,000 people hitting your website on day one and putting orders through.
All
right. Why? Well, because you've not told anyone about it. And so many, when I'm speaking to businesses, so many I'm saying to them, how do you get your message out about what you do? And a lot of the time they scratch their head and they say, well, I've got the branding right. We've got it colored right. We've got the website going. So, what's next? Well, you've got to get out and tell people about it. Then we get into, so how do you share your messages and what you do? And to a lot of the businesses that we speak to that aren't actually doing PR to start with, they'll say, yeah, but we do that through social. We reach out in social. And certainly a lot of the generations coming through now have grown up with social, and that's a perfectly legitimate way of communicating with people. But this is all part of a marketing mix. Social is part of that marketing mix. Your advertising is part of that mix. Your email campaigns are, your branding is, your website is, all part of that marketing mix. And so is PR. And when we say to businesses, well, okay, you do your outreach through social. How many followers have you got? Well, I've got 100 followers. Yeah, and they're your friends and your existing client. What if we made that 10,000 followers? And they say, well, how do you do that? Well, quite simply, you put a press release out into the media, and you only need one journalist to pick up on your story, and suddenly you've got 10,000 eyeballs looking at your particular product, looking at your brand. And it takes a while for your brand to become recognized and people to resonate with your brand. And the more you can push out, the more you can reach out and get independent people talking about you, the better. Now, why is that really, really important at the moment? So to the point about why is PR important as part of that marketing mix, 19 out of 20 of us now, and this has been driven quite heavily by the pandemic, 19 out of 20 of us will make our buying decisions based on other people's reviews and recommendations. Very rarely do we actually go and buy stuff now without knowing anything about it. So we rely on what reviews and recommendations are saying about our products. And we dismiss almost direct advertising. So you say something good about your product, I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you because you're bound to do that. But an independent person saying something good about your product, that counts tenfold, you saying about it. So then we get into, well, how do you get those reviews? Recommendations? And yeah, sure, you can get some on social, but there is nothing more valuable than a recognized, trusted, independent journalist, including your brand in their column with giving you that recommendation and review.
Yeah, that's the blinding flash of the obvious so far. It's the validation from a very independent source.
Absolutely.
Rather than some followers promoting you, you promoting you, like you say, friends and family on your social media promoting you. This is someone who a prospect would look to and trust what they're saying more than trust what you're saying.
That's right. That's right. And then if you drill into, so why don't you engage with journalists to do this? You get the obvious pushbacks: affordability, don't know how to do it, don't know when to do, don't know what to do. You get all those, all those objections coming through. Now, what's really interesting, the platform we've got in JournoLink does various things, but let me pick two of those out. One, we distribute your press release for you to relevant journalists. Second thing we do is we capture requests coming from the media, from journalists, for case studies and for business comment. So, and the very best time for you as a business to get picked up and used by a journalist and put in their columns is when they want you, when they're writing something and they need that business validation, they need the case study, they need the commentary, and they ask for it. They will ask for it, and they'll come through JournoLink. They'll go to Twitter as well. We scrape stuff out of Twitter and work out which journalists are asking for what detail. So
just to slow this down and just break it into those constituent parts there, Peter. Then, so what I'm hearing is there's two elements to the PR machine. There's one that's outbound from a business owner through the PR machine to the journalists and therefore the world.
Yep.
You're saying probably more importantly, it's coming in when a journalist is looking for a story that your business is connected to, they can find you.
Absolutely.
That's two big parts of this.
There's three ways that you're going to get your brand into the media. The best way is when the journalist is saying, please give me some case studies and reach out, tell me. As an example, I'll tell you just this morning on JournoLink, we've got requests going through for Father's Day gifts.
Yeah.
So you've got the journalists compiling their columns for Father's Day gifts, and get your brand in that, get your product in that. That's the best advertising you are ever going to get.
Yeah.
So when the journalist is looking for content, best time to get it. Timing's right. You know exactly what they want. The next best time to engage with a journalist is when there's trending news going on.
Okay.
So something to do with the pandemic, something to do with going back on the 17th of May, something to do with how you've managed the time out, something to do with bringing staff back from furlough. There is interest from a wide range of journalists on those specific pieces because that's trending news.
Journalists have got column inches to fill, and they're looking for real life stories to use in whatever.
But they're looking for it in the context of the trending news.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. That's how they get it past their editors. Then the third way is when you've got something you want to say and you want to launch your product or say something about your product. More difficult to get that into the journalist because you've really got to win them over on that story. So if you go in the cascade, when they really want it, when you know there'll be trending news and they should be writing about it, and then when you're trying to persuade them write about it.
Yeah, which is probably upside down to what most business owners might think is PR. It's like, I've got something to say and I need to trumpet it.
Well, let me
Whereas
compare
actually,
advertising.
there's so much more coming the other way.
Let me compare advertising to PR, right?
Yeah.
So advertising paid for PR,
Yeah.
PR earned PR, earned media coverage. So this is not
Right.
free. You've got to work at it. Don't expect a journalist to promote your business because you've asked them to.
Yeah.
Journalist has to write news to create eyeballs for themselves. What they're trying to do is extend their career.
Yeah.
They need good articles that they know people are going to buy newspapers or turn the television on, turn the radio on, get the listeners. They want people following them.
Yeah.
So, but they're desperate for your stories, desperate for your stories. But you've got to give them a good story. It's got to be differentiated. It's got to be newsworthy. It's got to have some stats in it or something like that. Something that's different that makes them pick it up. And, you know, a key tip on this is get your headline right. So you get about 2 seconds attention span with a journalist when they first see a press release coming out. And that's all you get. They'll look at the headline, and if it's not for them, they move on. So that provocative headline has got to hook them. And you normally get about 40 characters on your iPhone heading. And that's what you've got to get your headline in. So a long rambling headline that doesn't hit it at the very beginning often gets passed by. But good headline will often hook them, and a good image will often hook them. Quite rare you open a newspaper and you see an article without an image.
Sure.
So good image, you've got about 4 times likelihood of getting picked up.
Picture paints 1,000 words.
Precisely. So when they're looking, when the news is trending, when you have something to say, they're the 4 pieces you look at. Now we've learned a lot whilst we've been going through the journaling process, and we understand, how that cascade works. We understand the issues that businesses have, the when's to do it, the how's to do it, who to do it to, and all those. So the platform that we built in JournoLink absolutely addresses each one of those angles. We now compile every week a calendar of what we think is going to hit the news in the coming months.
Okay.
And that could be a national news day. That could be government data that's coming out. It could be some results that are coming out from specific multinationals.
So that's in line with the bit where there's something trending.
That's
it. You're preempting. You're looking forward to see what will trend.
Absolutely.
So business owners on JournoLink can get prepped and ready and
get out at that time.
With that. Brilliant.
Absolutely. So we're trying to help you with the timing of it. In terms of the writing of it, we've got templated versions that are there that actually make it really easy to use. So to the I don't know how to do it objection, honestly, it is really easy. And the model we've got was built for me as a tech dinosaur. And I'm used as the party on the team that normally tries to break it whenever they try and bring anything new in. So I promise you, if it works for me, it will work for you. It really is user friendly how we do it. So don't be scared about the templated piece. And we hold your hand as you go through, how you do it and how you position it. And then we target the right journalists for you. So we give you lots of options. You can bring in your own journalists onto your own list to distribute to.
So I'm guessing you've got
we do it all.
Not a little black book. You've got a very big black book of all the journalists out there.
Absolutely. BBC right down to bloggers. And we very much focus around the SME sector. So, we're not so worried about the oil analyst on the FT, but we really do care about the entrepreneur editor in the Times.
And at a local and regional level, so say here in Cambridge, we've got Cambridge Evening News, we've got Cambridge Independent, we've got the East Anglian Times, things like that.
All of those are on there.
All of those are on there.
And it's an interesting point you raise here. What's the difference between the regional press and the national press? So the national and broadcast are looking at the provocative stories. We're a miserable bunch in the UK. We love reading and looking at other people's woes. And because of that, we find our mainstream media focuses on negativities rather than positivities. And you'll see that 9 out of 10 articles that you look at on the news are sad articles. You might get one goodie, but predominantly they're sad articles. The regional media is very different. The regional media loves to promote local success stories. They like to talk and big up their region. And very, very rarely will they get the knife out or look for a negative story. So there's quite a distinction that's there. So you've got the regional who are really interested in picking up your local success story and what you're doing. Really looking for that. And the more that we see online media, the more they need to churn these stories more than, they need more and more and more content. So you got the regional stuff, you got the national stuff. So there's a distinction between the two of those, and you can really focus on,
which actually plays into the favor of an SME.
Yeah, it does indeed. And then the third piece in that triangle, if you like, is the trade media.
Yeah.
Trade media is looking at your specific type of business. They're interested in, if you're the left-handed screw organization or the right-handed screw organization, they're interested in how you've actually drilled the screws. So they really get into the detail of it. The regionals are much more interested in the generic success stories.
Yeah.
They might not be interested in the slightest bit the fact that you make left-handed screws. What they're interested in is how you employ people, what you're helping to do in the community, and those interest stories rather than the precise detail about your immediate product.
Yeah.
And your national is much more interested in how many people you've made redundant and why, and what did the government do wrong to force you to do that.
Got you.
So it's just a matter of understanding that. And we, in JournoLink, what we've tried to do is give you the points of advice around all of these areas.
Yeah. So, I mean, before you guys came along then, for someone to access this, I'm guessing in the old days, shall we say, pre-JournoLink, what you'd have a PR agency, and they would have probably a little black book compared to your huge black book. I guess they would have a fairly limited list of journalists that they've got contact with and who contact them. So you've added scale to this in a way that just couldn't be done by an agency. Well,
scale and cost. Right? Yeah. So as a business, you fundamentally should be doing PR as part of your marketing mix. So don't avoid that opportunity. You should be doing it. You've three options here, frankly.
Yeah.
One, do it yourself. And there is nothing wrong at all with sending an email to a local journalist saying, this is what we're doing. We'd be interested in talking to you and building a relationship up.
Mm-hmm.
Local journalists get a lot of emails like that.
Yeah.
But nothing wrong with doing that. And that costs you your time and nothing else. You can go to the other end of the spectrum and you can use a PR agency. There's nothing wrong at all with using a PR agency, but it'll cost you.
Yeah.
So, and often the PR agencies will tie you in for a long-term, 12-month minimum commitment.
Yeah, and what, probably easy few thousand a month.
Yeah, I mean,
just get going.
Yeah, I mean, get out of bed sort of money for many of the established agencies will be £4,000 or £5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Freelancers may well help you for £500 a month.
Yeah.
But you get what you pay for within that support, physical support. Then in the middle, there are some online solutions. Before we came along in JournoLink, they're still there now, the big enterprise solutions that typically the big PR agencies will use. So the agencies themselves will use models like JournoLink to distribute on your behalf, to work out which journalists are asking for which detail.
Yeah.
They are expensive and they are big.
Yeah.
What we've done in JournoLink is really, if you like, disrupted those big online enterprise solutions to say, look, here is a box that gives everything that a small business wants.
Yeah.
And we'll do this at £50 a month. All right. And we do it at £50 a month because the technology we've got enables us to do that. The investment we've put in enables a lot of automation. So we can keep it cheap. Before JournoLink came along, actually, there was a big vacuum of a lot of businesses saying, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself. You can go and pay a big PR agency, or you can have something in the middle, which is a hand holder, platform that actually does a lot of the stuff for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. What's that? £1.60 a day. It's less than a cup of coffee.
And that's the phrase I use. Less than a daily cup of coffee. And often we find businesses will put a press release out 3 or 4 times before they get picked up. So stick at it.
Yep.
It's not just a one-shot wonder. Stick at it.
Yeah.
Don't obsess about, am I getting the 2 lines in the Evening Standard?
Yeah.
And I know when I'm saying this, I am talking to the wall because I am as bad as anybody on the ego trip. We had an ed request go through us about 6 months ago, which was a Telegraph freelancer. And somebody in the office just threw my name in for that. And the freelancer was looking for someone over 50 who'd invested a load of money in a business after they'd semi-retired from mainstream corporate life. So they threw my name in the ring. I got a call 3 days later from this Telegraph freelancer. And I thought, 10-minute interview, thought, that's it, I'll get a couple of lines somewhere. Then they sent a photographer around. So I thought, a couple of lines and a photo.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks later, there was a double page spread in the Telegraph magazine on a Saturday that I didn't even know was coming. Didn't even know it was coming. Double page spread. So I get really excited, go down the pub, see me in the paper here. Look, the real value you get from PR is nothing to do with the ego trip and the coverage that you get.
Yeah.
It's all about increasing your sales and increasing your web traffic.
Of course.
That's your measurement. So don't get obsessed about where have I been covered.
Yeah.
What's most important is how many journalists are actually looking at you, how much interest are you creating. So on JournoLink, we won't tell you where you're covered. That's not something we do.
Yeah.
2 reasons for that is we don't want to distract you for one thing. Secondly, we don't want to get you into breaching copyright law, because there's a big risk that if you take articles and then put them on your website, you're breaching copyright law if you haven't got the licenses to do that.
I see.
We don't want to encourage you to do that. But what we do is share with you some pretty good analytics about which of the titles that are spending longer on your press release than we would ordinarily have expected.
Of course, just like any marketing, we need to measure and test and see what's going on and make sure we get a return on it. And so you put full analytics in here. And
there's a real balance in this. There's a real balance in this. And if you use an agency, what an agency will do is spend half the time in putting together the PowerPoint presentation
to justify what they've done.
Justify what they're charging you, right? So we kind of resist doing that completely. And we say, look, this is costing you £50 a month. This is costing you £500-600 a year. That's it. That's part of your marketing spend.
Yeah.
So, don't get completely analytical about the value and you're justifying the value. If at the end of the year, your sales are going up because your marketing as a whole has been right, of which PR is a part of that marketing, happy days, carry on. And we say, we say you should be, of any marketing mix, any marketing budget, you should be spending at least 10% of that marketing budget on PR, but you shouldn't be spending more than 15% on PR.
Right.
You can never be guaranteed where you're going to get covered. It depends on what happens on the day. If Boris falls off a Boris bike, don't think you're going to get any coverage.
Yeah.
The day Prince Philip died, nobody was getting any coverage apart from journalists looking at the Prince Philip incident. So you never be guaranteed this. So don't get obsessed about where your coverage. Don't get obsessed about your ROI. Don't spend too much on it, but do spend something on it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would say, one of the things quite important on that as well is, and don't let it be tomorrow's fish and chip paper.
Yeah.
So when the big corporates, when they put out their press release, it goes out to journalists. If it's used, it's used. If it's not, it's gone. What we do in JournoLink is we give you a media room, and we give you the template for a media room that we let you customize with your brand, your colors, and we give you the URL for that. And you just copy and paste that onto your website, onto a new page.
Okay.
You have a dynamic media room on your website. And you can put in there your social handles, your marketing collateral, your contact details. We automatically pick up your
So things become almost evergreen then.
They become evergreen because every time you put anything through JournoLink, we automatically pick it up and we put it in your media room for you.
Wow.
That sits on our server, so you're not going to do anything with it. We look after all of that for you, but you've now got a dynamic media room on your website that people can keep referring to. So you keep it current. That's more. I mean, I found that out running a small business in that, you get your website built and you go, right, that's that expense out of the way, website's built. And you never look at it again. And somebody visiting your website identifies that very quickly. Having the media room on there just brings the currency to your website, and it will bring sales in simply because it's there.
What's just going around my mind with that is the increased credibility and authenticity that those stories make, because they're not stories you've just put onto your website. They're stories that you believe in enough to have sent it out to the world, to have sent it to a journalist to say, hey, look, this is something that's happening. This is something we're proud of. This is something we're doing. Whatever it is, you've got enough behind that as a business to say that to the journalist world.
And it goes slightly one step beyond that as well. So if you look at the bigger corporates, corporates love to say, we've been covered in the Times, we've been covered in this. Actually, when you look at the analytics into this, it doesn't really matter. The fact that you put on your website, we have issued a press release. This is what it looks like. And the way we actually build it in and put it on looks very, very professional for you. It's not just a a Word document. You know, it's got your previous releases, it's got your contact details, it's got your social stuff. So it's actually quite a nice piece in its own right. What that says to most people looking at it is these guys have been covered in the media.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and this takes away a lot of the coverage, you know, the obsession with to where having been covered. If you've got it there, yeah, this is a statement to the world. And that's very differentiated from a tweet on Twitter or even a blog.
Yeah.
This is
my
big
mind's making those logical leaps.
Yeah, this is big business type stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's quite high value in having that media room in its own right. And as I say, 15 minutes just to customize it, and very easy to do. As I say, built for me as a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Once it's built, it's there, and it's.
So we've got something here that's really low effort, very low investment at £50 a month. Even just the media room on your website is going to add much more credibility than the 50. You know, you're going to get a return just on that media room. Never mind getting everything out to the journalists. You're also now you're sort of registered as a point of interest for a journalist who might be looking for a particular story or for something that's particularly trending. And then you've got an avenue to get your message out through the journalists as well, whether that be very local, whether it be trade or whether it be national. It's a no-brainer to me.
It's a no-brainer for me. Having been there, having seen and looked after best part of 1 million small businesses when I was in the banking world, and having done the media stuff myself, trying to convince journalists the stories we've been going through, actually been quite surprised how many times journalists will be reaching out to us. You know, I remember one particular one where a journalist wanted me to go out there representing banking in the financial crisis, and I remember saying to him, "Why on earth do you think I want to do that?" And his comment was, "Well, because without you, I don't have a program." And I said, "Well, okay, if I come on, will you say nice things about me?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll say nice things about your bank, and I'll say the bad things about the other banks." They fundamentally, no brainer. So they fundamentally do need you.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, this is a no brainer. Every business that has growth aspirations should absolutely be reaching out to that external market to promote their brand.
I put a safe bet on most people will be investing a lot more than £50 a month on social media support, someone doing their Facebook, doing their LinkedIn, doing their Instagram. And
you should still be doing those.
Yeah. I'm just thinking in terms of marketing mix.
Yeah.
It's not either or, it's an and.
It's an and. And the reason businesses haven't been doing it has been predominantly, I don't know how to do it, I don't know when to do it, I don't know what to do. And actually, it's not for small business, it's for big business, isn't it?
Okay.
Not the case. You should be doing it.
So I'm just looking at my quick notes I made before the call. So we've talked about the problems and challenges that business owners have with PR and branding. And I think we've probably nicely covered, for people who've never considered having PR, understanding what PR is, what it used to be like, and where you sit in what you do, kind of how PR works and how JournoLink sits within that. The benefits to business owners are clear, I think, from what we've covered there. We've talked about the investment and the return. How does a business owner go ahead and get involved with this, and what's the next steps for them?
So you can do a couple of things. Go and have a look at it, www.journolink.com. And I think Rich
links in underneath this.
On there. So you can go on there, you can register straight through there, have a look at it. We don't charge any money for you just to have a look around. We let you play with it. We give you the media room free. We give you the calendar free. And we only look for you to pay us money, understandably, when you want to distribute stuff or when you want to respond to journalists, because that's what.
So you can kind of sign up and get a little bit of access.
Yeah, you can sign on, have a good look at it,
and then when you actually start saying, "I want stuff to go out," that's when the recurring investment.
And you can do it on a pay-as-you-go basis. You can do it on a monthly subscription basis. So very, very much up to you. And we don't tie you in for a year. We'll tie you in for the month. That's all. So if it's not for you, you can move on, and you're not tied in. So you can go onto www.journolink.com, or Rich will also be sharing with you a specific link for Business Builder. And you will see a route that you can go through there with a special deal that you can get through that particular link.
Fantastic.
So really easy to do. And as I say, you don't have to dip into the budget, just have a look around. So
Yeah.
you have a look around it.
Oh, that's crazy. And thank you for the business builders route through to you as well. That's really appreciated. So is there anything that I've missed here in terms of asking you? Is there something else, anything else you'd like to share at this point? Do you think we've covered everything?
I think we've covered everything. I mean, I'm always criticized within our team, and I think everybody in a business is passionate about a business and passionate about what they do.
I can see that.
We all fall into this piece, which is an assumption that everyone will do it. So I'm often picked up by our team when I say, why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they do that? Right? Why wouldn't they do that? And I'm always picked up and say the challenge you've always got with any business is to challenge yourself on why would they do that? Well, hopefully we've been through the why would today. The bit I'll leave you with is why wouldn't you do this? Really, it is a no-brainer, and it's certainly a no-brainer. Have a look around and just challenge yourself a little bit on this is a route that I can use to get my brand profiled, particularly at the moment with so much upheaval following the pandemic. Fundamentally should be doing this now as part of your marketing mix. Very achievable to do now, and it will make your business look a lot bigger than otherwise it will seem.
Yeah, journalists are going to be writing this stuff. It might as well be you that's in that story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they're going to be writing something about someone, so it might as well just be you. And
might as well just be you.
JournoLink,
absolutely.
you're in front of the queue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you don't take the opportunity, your competitor will.
Fabulous. Brilliant. Well, thanks, Peter, for your time. And as Peter just said, I'll put all the details in the notes below. And if you have any questions for me or for Peter, please do get in touch. And well, we look forward to joining you on your PR journey.
Thanks, Rich.
Bye for now.
Thanks for the time.